the first one or two read alouds, people tend to perform poorly in the exam. And that's unfortunate because by the time you warm up and you calm down, you have already messed up 2 to 3 questions. Hey, this is Alex from Dream English. Welcome back. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about one of the most important questions in your whole exam, which is the read aloud. Specifically, you'll learn one particular website that I use and I refer our students where to practice in order to check their accuracy and check their pronunciation. And I'm going to give you some tips and techniques on how to actually improve your pronunciation in order to get more marks towards your speaking and your reading section. So a few months ago, I made a live video about the 4 do or die questions in PTE, meaning the questions that combined give you a disproportionate amount of marks towards your exam. We don't like to waste time practicing MCQs because those are peanuts, but there are 4 questions which are very important, and you'll be able to find the video in the notes, in the bio, and you can watch it in more detail. But today I want to talk just about one specific one, which is the read aloud. Now, read aloud, it seems simple, right? Wrong. The reason why, some people just get really, really nervous. Other people mumble too much. Other people have a lisp, or maybe they have a stutter, or maybe their speed is inconsistent, or some people are just not that used to reading in English. If you go home and you read the newspapers and the Facebooks and the movies and everything in your own native language, it's not that common for people to read, and specifically to read out loud. Oftentimes we read in our head, and for anybody, for myself for example, when I sing in my head, it sounds beautiful. I sound like, like an opera singer. Whenever I sing out loud, close your ears. It's a complete disaster. So same thing with read aloud. Oftentimes, we don't realize the kind of mistakes we're making when you actually do it. So here's the specific website from which I prefer that you practice. And I even recommend it to my students in class, among other sources, but this is one of my more favorites. By the way, we're not associated with this website, and whoever is, congratulations, you did a good job. So the website, you can see it here on my screen, is pte.tools. Now, on this website, I cannot vouch for the other questions. I'm not sure how good the other materials are, but read aloud is the one question that I recommend you practice from here. There's a few other websites from where people practice. There's PTE AI, there's 𝗃𝐴PUNI, there's different ones. I don't have bad things to say about them because there are a lot of good materials, a lot of good resources you can find there, and ideally you want to be practicing from all those websites. You want to take whatever you're missing and practice the best things from each of those websites. But one issue I have with some websites is if they give a very subjective marking for your pronunciation, like 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5. What does 3 out of 5 even mean? What does 2 out of 5 even mean? So what you need to know is that the algorithm, the software that PTE uses, actually nobody in the market has that exact software, except obviously PTE. So what this website does, and I'll show you in a second a demo, is it shows you the percentage, the accuracy of your words. So if I open a random read aloud, just like in any read aloud, it gives me some time to prepare, and then I'm going to read the text. So I'm not going to do the first question just yet, but let's do one quick example. And by the way, I didn't prepare, we're just doing this randomly. So as much as this is a book about the experience of traveling, the contemplation of cities that are vast in scale and villages that are as remote and strange as anything Westerners are ever likely to encounter, it is also a book that tries to describe another kind of journey. So you see, for example, I didn't prepare for this one. I got 84% accuracy, which is not bad, but it's not perfect either. There are a few things that you can see with this website that are not perfect. For example, you can see on my screen the word traveling. It just corrected my spelling, but spelling actually doesn't matter. Traveling with single L and with double L would be pronounced the same way. It just depends on American or British English. So this part is actually not important. There are a few words that maybe I messed up. Instead of the word strange, I said maybe the word strangers. But overall, you can see it's pretty good. So I feel a bit embarrassed. Let me try to redeem myself. Let me do another one, and we'll actually do it properly from start to finish. Let's find something a little bit shorter. Some people object that in order for the eye to modify and still remain a useful instrument to its owner, many changes would have had to take place simultaneously. However, it is not necessary to suppose this if the modifications were extremely slight and gradual. So you can see on the screen here, I got 96% accuracy. Now, there's a few warnings I want to give you. First of all, the software is not perfect. It's pretty good, but it's not perfect. For example, one of the things you might notice, if I have the word to, like to go, to run, meaning T-O, and the word to, I like you too, meaning T-double-O, what happens oftentimes, it's only going to pick it up as one rather than the other. So even though you said the word correctly, it has that error, so it's not perfect. Now here's the rough guideline. Let's say you're aiming for 8 in each. Let's say you're aiming for 79 plus. Don't expect to get 100% here every time. But what you should be aiming at, you should be getting 80% plus consistently. Let's say you need 65 in each, you should be getting 65% or more consistently. Assuming your reading section is okay, that should be more than enough to pass. Now, the advice that I give people, there's almost 1,000 fill in the blanks in the reading section, so it's actually quite difficult to go through all the material. If your grammar or your vocabulary is weak, you got a lot of work. So if your reading section is not that strong, you can make it up and you can actually aim to get a better score in your read aloud. Because if my read aloud I'm getting 90% plus every time, I can probably afford to make a few extra mistakes in my blanks or in my reorder paragraphs. So you should still practice both, but really focus on your read aloud. And especially what I noticed, whenever people just start their exam and they're extremely nervous and maybe their hands are shaking and their voice is trembling, the first 1 or 2 read alouds, people tend to perform poorly in the exam. And that's unfortunate because by the time you warm up and you calm down, you have already messed up 2 to 3 questions. So when you could get the score of 80% plus, you're getting maybe 65 or 70%. And this affects your reading score in particular. So let's summarize. There's a lot of different websites. Some are better for some sections, some are better for the other sections. For example, in our mock tests, and you can find the links below, we have something very similar in terms of your pronunciation score. So this is how the computer assesses you. But if you want to practice and improve your read aloud, my recommendation is this website, PTE.tools. It's free. It's really good to practice your read aloud. The other questions, I'm not so sure. Second thing is you should be getting 80% plus if you're aiming for 8, or 70% plus, 65% plus if you're aiming for 7, or 50% plus if you're aiming for 6, which is 50. If your reading section is weak, you want to improve your read aloud even more. The last warning, which is very important, please do not try to imitate how I'm speaking in this video. My speech is very fast, and maybe I did not use so much intonation, meaning my voice, I didn't emphasize my voice in this way. So what you'll see in some sample answers on different websites, there's different ways to do this. I've given the exam before many times. I've got 90, 90, 90, 90. So my pronunciation was 90, it worked for me. Your accent is going to be completely different. And the mistakes that you make will be different from my mistakes. So if your pronunciation is not that good, you might have to slow down a little bit. But if, like myself, you're getting 90% plus every time, you can speed up a little bit. And usually it takes somebody, like one of the teachers would normally correct you in the class, because we do give the feedback to the students. And even though a computer is good, it's even better to get another person's opinion, somebody who has experience, obviously. So this is it for this video, guys. It means a lot to us and to our team. If you click like right now and you click subscribe, this is how we know that this video was valuable, that it helped you, and especially your comments. I personally read every single comment and reply to as many as I can. And the best news is whenever we share free tips and advice and it works for you and you get your score and we get good news. So as a teacher, for myself, for Sumesh, for Shan, and all the teachers on our team, This is the best, seeing people get their scores, get their acceptances, get their registrations and their PR. So leave a comment, like, and I'll see you in the next video.